All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast. Where talk about a buzzkill, huh? Didn't think we'd come out of the All-Star break with two straight losses to two tanking teams in the new Luka Doncic era, but such is life. Austin Reeves got ejected, Luka Doncic turned the ball over a ton, Rui missed some clutch free throws, and LeBron James couldn't hit the game-tying three twice over, and here we are. That said, all is not lost. The Lakers are in a major philosophical transitional period, so let's all try and hold off on the panic for at least one more week. And yeah, welcome back from the All Star break. We've got about 28 games left to go, so buckle the F up. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and today I'm going to be solo potting. I wanted to give Tommy a legitimate break as well, so you guys are stuck with me today. And for today's episode, I wanted to kind of go off script for a bit and talk about the buyout market. So, we're not going to be talking about last night's game versus the Charlotte Hornets or this night's game versus the Portland Trailblazers or how Luka Doncic has been doing recently or what rotational changes I want to see happen. Today, we are strictly going to be talking about the buyout market landscape in the NBA this year, where the Lakers currently stand logistically with their cap books with respect to the buyout market, and what options are actually available for the Lakers to upgrade their roster. First, before I dive into some specific names, let's just talk about where the Lakers currently stand. So, as many of you guys already know, the Lakers are an above first apron team. They currently have $188.037 million on their books. For reference, the second apron is set at $188.93 million, and the Lakers cannot go above that number. So currently at $188.037 million, the Lakers are $893,000 below the second apron. Again, they cannot exceed that second apron mark. Also, it should be noted that even if the Lakers waive a player like Shake Milton, that player's salary does not create more space for them under the second apron. So, what does this all mean? Essentially, whatever free agent or free agents that the Lakers inevitably sign from the buyout market, those free agents have to be within that $893,000 budget. Now, the current prorated veteran minimum contract is set at about $635,000 at this point. So if the Lakers do waive a player, like say Markieff Morris or Shake Milton, they can sign at least one new veteran minimum at the current rate of $635K and still be below that second apron. I know this is a lot of math to keep track of, but hang in there. Now, let's say the Lakers want to sign two buyout guys. Currently, that is not possible because, again, the prorated veteran minimum contract is $635K and the Lakers are only $893K below the second apron. Now, if the Lakers waited till around April to sign somebody, when the prorated veteran minimum probably shrinks down to about $400K, then the Lakers would be able to sign two new buyout guys and still be below the second apron. Because, again, 400K plus 400K equals 800K, which would still be below the 893K budget of space that the Lakers are currently working with. Does that all make sense? I see you guys nodding, so that's a good sign. So anyways, as of now, let's just assume that the Lakers can only sign one more buyout guy. And let's say the player that they waive is Markieff Morris, because he's on an expiring veteran minimum deal. Now, the Lakers could also waive Shake Milton, but Shake Milton is actually on a non-guaranteed contract for next season, and the Lakers may want to opt into that contract just so that they have another expiring deal to work with and potentially trade in a larger package. So that's why I'm not so sure that the Lakers would actually waive Shake Milton, even if they have no use for his on-court services. They may just use him as a walking veteran minimum expiring trade ballast for this summer. So with that said, let's say that the Lakers do waive Markieff Morris and open up another roster spot. Who could the Lakers go after then? Well, let me tell you guys in just a second. But before I get into some specific buyout market options, first let me tell you guys about our sponsor for today, Underdog Fantasy. Because with the basketball season rounding the corner, and as we begin gearing up for the playoffs, if you want to win up to 1,000 times your money, make sure to do so with Underdog. Underdog Fantasy has got all of your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all basketball picks or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at the Lakers Nuggets game on Saturday, and I'm going to confidently take the higher on whatever Luka Doncic's assists and rebounds prop is. He's going to be going up against his buddy Nikola Jokic, and he probably wants to show out. And honestly, he hasn't had a truly bang out game with the Lakers just yet. And so I feel like that Luka pop off game is coming soon. So if his line is at 14.5 combined rebounds and assists, like it was versus the Trailblazers tonight, I would hammer the higher on that prop this Saturday versus the Denver Nuggets. It's a big game, and I'm sure Luka will want to bring the magic. So what are you waiting for? Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code LEGACY to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code LEGACY. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. All right, let's pitch it to our sponsors, and then I will catch you guys after the turn to talk about some actual buyout market names. All right, so we are back. So, what are the Lakers' buyout market options? Well, let's just say that it is extremely slim pickings this year. Now, the buyout market has never been a robust tool for contending teams to utilize, but more so than it ever has been, this year has been a complete wasteland thus far. And I mainly chalk that up to the new CBA and the restrictions it's placed on apron teams, where certain teams like the Lakers, who are above the first apron, can no longer just sign any buyout player who gets waived. These teams like the Lakers, who are above the first apron, can only sign particular guys who made below the full MLE of this past season. So that already limits quite a sizable number of teams in this league because most of the teams that sign buyout guys are typically contenders, but now they are hamstrung because of the new CBA. So even if a guy like Dennis Schroeder were to get bought out by the Detroit Pistons, because he makes slightly more than the current full MLE for this season, which is at about $12.5 million, because Schroeder makes $12.8 million this year, he would not be eligible to be signed by teams like the Lakers who are above the first apron, which is kind of ridiculous. Not that I want Dennis Schroeder, by the way. I'm just using him as an example. And then when it comes to the players, even if they're on expiring deals this year, a lot of them may just want to hold on to their bird rights with their current team and potentially sign on with them again this summer and become a walking human trade exception that will later be dealt at a future time. Just because, again, the buyout market is so sparse, their options are more limited, it might make more sense for them to just re-up with their team in the summer so that their team can get something out of them. So yeah, when it comes to the buyout market landscape in the NBA this year, at least as it currently stands, it's not great, Bob. But even having said that, I really wish the Lakers hadn't committed a rest of season deal to Alex Len so early because that's money and space under the apron that we can no longer get back, even if they did waive Alex Len. But it is what it is. And having said that, without further ado, let's get into some names. First of all, if you guys haven't checked out my 3&D Wings buyout market video on YouTube, make sure to check that video out. Our YouTube channel is at Lakers Legacy Pod, because in that video, I go over 5 intriguing athletic wings that I think would help the Lakers out immediately. And I bring that video up because those 4 or 5 players that I mention in that video would honestly be my top targets if it were up to me, if I were Rob Pelinka. And so just to tease that video a little bit, my top 3 buyout market guys would go number 1, O'Shea Brissett, 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, bully ball, wing with tremendous athleticism and explosiveness. Number 2, I would go with Nasir Little, 6'6", with a 7'2" wingspan. Also has a very stout and physical frame like O'Shea Brissett, played with the Phoenix Suns last year. And then number 3, I would go with Jalen McDaniels, 6'9", with a 7-foot wingspan, long, lanky, has shown flashes of defensive upside. So all of my top 3 buyout market guys would be wings. And again, you can learn more about those players in my 3&D wings buyout market video on YouTube. But apart from those guys, who are some other options that the Lakers would more realistically look at? Let's now talk about the recently waived or about to be waived players. So I just want to put it out there again that I am not enticed or enthralled by this list at all. This is just what we have to work with. So if it were up to me, my number 1 buyout guy would have been a player that just signed with the Boston Celtics earlier this month, and that would have been Torrey Craig. He got bought out by the Chicago Bulls. Torrey Craig is 6'5", 6'6", with a very sturdy frame. He is a professional veteran who's got some 3&D capabilities. I'm jealous that the Celtics were able to swoop in early and sign him, but now that Torrey Craig is off the market, who do we have left? Now, one new development that we should heavily monitor is what's happening out in San Antonio, because Victor Wembanyama, unfortunately, is now out for the season. And so where does that put the San Antonio Spurs with their rest of season plans? Are they still trying to make the playoffs? And if they're not, does that make it more likely for Chris Paul to be bought out? Now, having said that, even if Chris Paul is bought out, do the Lakers actually need him on their roster with this current iteration of the team, with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves? Seems like the Lakers already have a bunch of cooks in the kitchen. And where does Chris Paul realistically fit into all of that? And from Chris Paul's end, would he actually want to go to the Lakers? So just put that in the back burner of your mind. Chris Paul could become a buyout guy, but maybe not for the Lakers. Having said that, I know I've teased this long enough. Let's talk about some buyout market names that I think would fit the Lakers. Number 1, let's talk about PJ Tucker. Ugh, I know, that's kind of a gross name. He's probably over the hump. Now, I want to be clear that PJ Tucker still has to negotiate a buyout with the Utah Jazz, but I think that buyout is coming very soon. And so I bring PJ Tucker's name up because I think even though he's now an older player and he hasn't actually been playing this season, I think when it comes to the Lakers' small ball 5 initiative, I think PJ Tucker could actually help. And if Maxi Kleber doesn't get cleared this season, it would be nice for the Lakers to have a veteran who has serviceably played that small ball 5 role before. And PJ Tucker at his best is a very good spacing option. And even if his shot is not falling, you know PJ Tucker is tough, you know he'll stand up for his teammates, and he has that sort of grit and fight and savviness as a veteran that I think will prove useful in the playoffs, even if he's not necessarily getting time on the court. Now, you could probably say the same thing about Markieff Morris. I just think PJ Tucker has a little bit more juice than Markieff Morris, and I think he can still play a little bit of defense. And so I would see what PJ Tucker has left in the tank, and I wouldn't be too opposed with the Lakers signing him off the buyout market. Again, I am not thrilled with PJ Tucker. I want to make that clear, but I think with Luka Doncic and LeBron James, he could serve a role as a good small ball 5 option who spaces the floor and also brings the toughness, plays some defense in limited minutes. All right, let's move on to my number 2 option. Let's talk about another center, and let's talk about Mo Bamba, former Laker Mo Bamba. So, sort of similar to my PJ Tucker pitch, Mo Bamba would be a spacing option at the 5 for the Lakers. He's a legit 7-footer with an insane 7'9" wingspan. I believe his defensive metrics this season have looked pretty solid in limited minutes. And I honestly probably would have just signed him over Alex Len, but since we've already signed Alex Len, maybe we could stack on top of our bigs and also add Mo Bamba just so that we can have that legitimate spacing option. Now, Mo Bamba is not a volume 3-point shooter, but he has shown the ability in the past to at least keep defenses honest from the perimeter. And again, Mo Bamba is just a big body down low who can hopefully catch some lobs, but also deter some shots at the rim, hopefully better than Alex Len can at this stage of his career. So there's number 2, Mo Bamba. All right, number 3, let's talk about Bismack Biyombo. So Bismack Biyombo is currently with the Spurs, and with Victor Wembanyama out, who knows if they decide to continue to sign him for the rest of the season just so that they have a starting center in place. But I could also see the Spurs just tanking away the rest of their season as well. And in that case, they have no use for Bismack Biyombo, and his 10-day contract may expire, whichever 10-day contract he's now on. So I would not be surprised if Bismack Biyombo is let loose out onto the free agent buyout market. And so if that's the case, I think the Lakers may want to give him a look. So Bismack Biyombo is 6'9" and a bit undersized, but he does have an immense 7'6" wingspan and is built like a rock. He can move bodies around in the paint. He will be that space eater down low who can bang with other burly bigs. He can grab boards and do all the dirty work things at the center position. And at the end of the day, Bismack Biyombo is a tried and true veteran, which I think the Lakers are placing a heavy emphasis on when it comes to any buyout market signings. Again, Bismack Biyombo is not a world beater, but defensively, he has always had a very solid floor because of his long wingspan and his pretty decent motor. All right, let's move away from the bigs and talk about some guards. Now, you might say that with Gabe Vincent and Austin Reeves, why do the Lakers need extra guards? And yeah, you may be right. Maybe they don't need additional guards, but I just think that it will be nice for the Lakers to have some additional downhill attackers. I do think there's some benefit to the Lakers signing some additional guard help that's better than Shake Milton. So, number 4, let's talk about a favorite target of mine. He's now on the buyout market, and let's talk about Bones Hyland. So, I know that Bones Hyland is erratic. I know Bones Hyland doesn't play any defense, although he does have an insanely long 6'10" wingspan for a guard. Having said that, Bones Hyland to me is just a pure talent play. He can score, he can attack downhill, and he can provide that offensive spark off the bench. And the Lakers offense actually looked kind of porous against the Charlotte Hornets, namely because guys like Luka, Austin, and LeBron were just standing around the perimeter playing hot potato. And so a guy like Bones Hyland can actually break his man off the dribble. He has some speed and quickness to him where he can get into the paint, knife into the paint. And so that's the type of new dynamic that I think a guy like Bones Hyland could provide this Lakers team that I think is too perimeter oriented right now. Even a guy like Shake Milton does not ironically have that shake like Bones does to break defenses down and knife all the way into the paint. So that's my pitch for Bones Hyland. I have made numerous videos extolling the virtues of Bones Hyland. I know that he's a polarizing figure, much in the same way that Cam Reddish is a polarizing figure. But look, Bones Hyland is a player that you just use for 10 minutes off the bench to provide that offensive spark and to change the pace of the game. So there's Bones Hyland. All right, lastly, let's talk about Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. is a popular name amongst Lakers Nation. He has just returned from overseas to make one last bid at the NBA to see if he can snag on with a team for the home stretch. And yeah, Dennis Smith Jr., he's kind of like a Gabe Vincent clone. He's just the worse three-point shooting but more explosive version of Gabe Vincent. He's got some nice defensive chops, but most importantly, he's just an explosive and dynamic and athletic player in transition. He can also dime the ball pretty well and play make in a pinch. And he also has that familiarity with Luka Doncic during both of their times with the Dallas Mavericks. But yeah, with Gabe Vincent already in tow, I'm not sure how much of Dennis Smith Jr. we actually need because he's like a short 6'2" guard. Maybe if Gabe Vincent were to go down, it's nice to have that Dennis Smith Jr. insurance because I do think he's a more dynamic player than Gabe Vincent, and I do think he can attack downhill better than Gabe Vincent. He's also strangely a lob threat at the guard position, and I also think he's a better playmaker than Gabe Vincent. Having said that, I do think Gabe Vincent is the more reliable and trusted veteran player. If we sign Dennis Smith Jr., it would be for pure guard insurance purposes. But with that said, Dennis Smith Jr. is a clear upgrade over a guy like Shake Milton. All right, so that's my paltry list of 5 buyout market names that are currently out there that the Lakers could explore. If I had to rank all of these guys, as I've said before, I would probably rank any of the wings that I've already covered in my previous 3 and D buyout market wings video as my number one targets: O'Shea Brissett, Nasir Little, Jalen McDaniels. But understanding that the Lakers probably won't go for those guys that I typically like, I'll say that out of my more realistic list, I guess I'd be pretty interested in PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, and Bismack Biyombo. Again, I know that that's such an uninspiring and weird crop of players who don't exactly move the needle. And again, I prefer wings like O'Shea, Jalen McDaniels, and Nasir Little. But knowing how the Lakers operate, mainly going after known, tried and true names, I think I would lean into getting some spacing big man options moving forward. And if they don't go that route, I would just add more big man depth in the form of Bismack Biyombo. So PJ Tucker, Mo Bamba, Bismack Biyombo would be my current choices of buyout names that I think the Lakers should go after. We'll see as March moves along who else gets bought out. Maybe the name improves and maybe the Lakers can get to that point of the season where they can actually sign 2 guys by around April. But yeah, those are the current uninspiring names that I am most intrigued by, and I put intrigued in major quotation marks. Now, lastly, there's also the option that the Lakers just waive Markieff Morris and Shake Milton and convert Christian Coloco and Jordan Goodwin to standard deals, which I wouldn't be opposed to at all. I just worry about those guys' lack of NBA playoff experience, let alone NBA experience. If I had to choose one out of the two to convert, it would have to be Christian Coloco, since his defensive IQ and length will be much needed down the stretch and possibly even in the playoffs if Jackson Hayes gets into foul trouble. So yeah, I would prioritize the Lakers standardizing Christian Coloco's deal first, just so that we have that full crop of mid big man depth to turn to, even if Christian Coloco isn't well seasoned. At this point, even though I like what Jordan Goodwin has brought to the table, he's kind of more just cherry on top of the sundae, nice to have. I don't think he's a player that we necessarily want to trust in the playoffs. Although, who knows, maybe he's ready. But yeah, with that said, that'll do it for this random one off episode where I go through the paltry buyout market as it currently stands. Once again, follow us on Twitter or X at Lakers Legacy Pod. Also, please check out our YouTube channel at Lakers Legacy Pod as well and hit us up with a subscribe. The next time you tune in, I should have Tommy back with me as we dissect how the Luka era Lakers are looking, hopefully much better than they're looking as it currently stands after the All-Star break. But yeah, that'll do it for me. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.